Hello everybody, Sebastian. We're back with Spin Driving School, and in today's video we are going to take a look at the difference between two-way and four-way intersections. This is very basic to me. I'm actually surprised I'm making this video, but it's been requested multiple times. So it's gonna have to happen. So essentially the difference between two-ways and four-ways is at a four-way stop sign, everyone has to stop. At a two-way intersection, even though there might be four, let's say it could be a four-way intersection with only two stop signs. So that just means it's an intersection or a cross of four roads crossing with only two stop signs, which means you have to yield to the opposing traffic. So in some situations, you can just stop and go as long as you have good visibility. In most situations, however, you have to creep up or inch up just by letting off of your brakes. So try not to accelerate in those moments and creep up and inch up. And you might have to stop multiple times, scan both ways, and then go when it's safe. So the concept is do not cut anybody off. Do not turn in front of another vehicle if you're facing a stop sign and they do not. Treat it as if you're facing a red light. So if you have a red light and you're turning right, let's say, you would be yielding to vehicles on the left-hand side. Right? It would be the same concept. The only difference here is the lights don't change. So you have a stop sign and you may be there for a longer period of time because at the lights you can always turn. But in this case, you have to yield if there's any cross traffic, which they would have the right of way. So again, anyone without the stop sign, if you're facing one, would have the right of way. And that means you have to let them go. You cannot turn in front of someone else if they don't have a stop sign and vice versa. So let's get into some examples right now. Okay, so let's go through some examples. That's a two-way intersection. That's a stop sign. You should have yielded to me. So not only you stopped late, but now I'm almost about to hit you or vice versa. So you're supposed to stop and creep up in small increments and look for me. You don't have the right of way when you're facing a stop sign. Same thing here. And these are all pedestrian control intersections. So if you notice, they do have lights on the sides. But I still have to adhere to the stop sign and it still works like a regular two-way, let's say. So there are traffic lights, yes, and there are pedestrian lights as well. And you need to be paying attention to all of those and also for traffic and of course for pedestrians crossing in all directions, to be honest with you, but mainly in this case on the sides, let's say theoretically. However, it's always possible. So the walk sign is on. So I know that there are no vehicles moving through the intersection for 10, 15, 20 seconds, whatever that is. And then I'm going to proceed onwards when it's clear. So that's a two-way intersection with traffic lights. This is essentially a one-way where I need to scan both ways, creep up, and then proceed onwards as long as no one's crossing in any directions, whether there's marked or unmarked crosswalks. Another traffic controlled one-way intersection. So this is the same as the one I just drove through on Kingsway, but this is essentially a one-way. It works on the same principle. You can wait for a pedestrian to press the button. Sometimes they are based on timers. So when you wait there long enough, if you trigger the sensors, the lights may change in your favor, but that's not always guaranteed. This is why people step, outside of the vehicle and press the button. In some situations, it is actually better just to wait for a pedestrian if there is one, or if you're thankfully, in this case, this is the case, though. If you see this gentleman is on a scooter, so he's already passed, so I need to make sure they've crossed, and then I'm turning to the lane closest to me. But now the light's going to be red for, let's say, 10, 15, 20 seconds, depending on the intersection. And I know those are kind of tricky and difficult, but that's how it is. I'm supposed to have the right of way here. If you notice, I don't have stop signs, right? So the stop signs are on either sides, but I'm not facing them, which means I have the right of way in this case, except for pedestrians. And that car should have yielded to me, but since they are a new or a learner driver, it's just what happens. Same thing here. I don't have a stop sign, which I should have been given the right of way by the other vehicle, but some people just don't stop or don't yield when they're supposed to. Now I have a stop sign, so I need to yield to anyone who doesn't have a stop sign. Both ways. So that's why, see, I had to slam on my brakes because my student almost stopped and went. You never just stop and go unless it's a four-way, okay? And that's the difference between two ways and four ways, which I've already kind of talked about earlier. So now I'm stopping. I'm going to scan both ways. Again, I'm looking for pedestrians first, which may sound unusual and dumb to some, but that's what you should be looking for anytime you stop at a stop sign or at a red light. Always look for pedestrians first. And then I'm looking for cross traffic. So I cannot proceed until both ways of traffic are clear, since I'm turning left here. Okay, so after the bus, I look both ways. If there's a safe gap, I'm going to go. And as long as there's a safe gap, I'll turn. But if there isn't one, I am going to wait. And I'll have to wait here as long as it's necessary. Okay, I'm not going to force my way into traffic or impede traffic. So as long as it's clear, I'm good to go. Then I look in my rearview mirror to make sure I didn't cut someone off. Sometimes you're going to turn a little bit, late or at the wrong time, because it's really hard to see at times. It is what it is, but try to do the best you can and always turn when you have the best visibility. If you can't, improve your visibility as much as possible and turn then and only then. I cannot stress that enough. This one here is a pain in the ass, and a lot of these kind of intersections are a pain in the ass, especially when it's raining, especially when it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're turning into a high traffic road like Nanaimo in this case, and I'm turning left. So I'm hoping that maybe a pedestrian will cross, or maybe the lights will get activated magically and I will be able to proceed through the intersection, especially because I'm turning left here and I have pedestrians crossing in front of me. And if you notice, there's a crosswalk on the left-hand side. There's just a lot going on. So these intersections, they can be difficult and challenging and dangerous and all of those things, but they can be done safely as long as you know what the hell you're doing. So again, always make sure that you give the right of way to pedestrians and any vehicles that don't have stop signs. And now, see, I was turning, I had to stop again for a pedestrian. It's just how it is. And this is why two ways and one ways really suck. Four ways are the best, and this is why four ways are the easiest. And I wish, all intersections were four-way stop signs, but it's just not the case. And four ways are probably less common than two ways and one ways, depending on neighborhoods. Some neighborhoods have more of them. And the right-of-way belongs to the vehicle that stops first. Okay, so if you had a four-way, it should always be the vehicle that stops first. Then it's going to be the vehicle on your right-hand side. If you're both going in the same direction, then it doesn't matter. If you're both driving away or in separate directions, then it doesn't really matter who stops first. Don't expect other drivers to stop fully, completely, or stop properly, or yield to you if you were there first, because sometimes people are in the rush during the morning rush hour or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a shit show out there, and people just don't adhere to any rules. They want to get home or they want to get to work. It is what it is. This vehicle here gave me the right of way, so try to communicate as much as possible with hand gestures, head movements, nods, flashing your high, low beam, or just flashing your lights. Scanning. Looking both ways. Again, looking for cross traffic. If it's clear, I'm going to do my shoulder check, and then I will turn, and then I'm going to look in my rearview mirror to see what's behind me if I cut someone off. And I always do that after turning or after lane changes. I always look in my rearview mirror to make sure I didn't miss a vehicle, whether I'm turning on the red or at a stop sign. It's just a habit I have, and I try to always teach my students to make sure that you check for what's going on behind you after you turn, in case you miss something, so you can create some space and distance and not get rear-ended potentially or side swapped. Creeping up, right? Looking both ways. If you can't see, creep up, improve your visibility. It doesn't matter how many times you stop, whether you stop 4, 5, 6, or 10 times. Yes, I'm being a little bit sarcastic and excessive. I don't think you have to stop that many times, but usually, 2, 3 is going to be pretty common unless it's a four-way. So here I should only stop once. Now I'm not going to wait for those other vehicles to stop or worry about them, so to speak. I will be confident, and in confidence, I'm going to proceed through the intersection, and that's what the examiners are looking for. So don't wait at stop signs for too long, okay? 2-3 seconds is enough. If you stop for too long, sometimes other drivers will take that as you giving them the right of way, and they will essentially just, cut you off or go ahead of you. Full stops, as much as possible. Don't roll your stops on the test though. And yes, you can get a ticket for rolling stops. I've said this before in my previous videos. So sometimes when I drive, I do roll my stops in these videos, but most of the time it's my students driving, so. And I think we'll do one more four-way. So that vehicle was already stopped. So I need to give them the right of way, and I need to wait until they finish turning. So I don't move forward until the vehicle has cleared the intersection, and the intersection is clear, which means there's nothing in front of me. So if someone is turning slow or a little bit late, just wait and let them turn and then proceed onwards after that, specifically if you are, or especially if you're on your road test. So that's it. That's that. We'll see you in the next video. Hope that helps. Cheers.